Hello, Elvenar players.
Hello.
So it's Rike and Timon again from
Yeah,
the Elvenar team, and today's topic is the current summer event, the
exactly.
March of the Herds.
Uh-huh.
So please send in your question about the event, or if you have another question about Elvenar, please, then you can also send
Yeah,
this.
feel free to
We
do
try
so.
to answer as many of them as honest as we can.
Any plans of adding mana buildings to events in the future?
Mana buildings, yes. I mean, as you have noticed since the last event already, we started to introduce buildings that do not only give culture and population. No? We had some producing orcs or coins and supplies, and we are trying a lot of things there. And also with mana, we will also add some buildings that produce mana. Not in the summer event yet. We didn't manage to finish this in time, but from the next event on, you can expect this to happen, definitely. No.
Event quests are boringly repetitive. Are there any plans to add more variety in the future?
Yes, we will work on this. I mean, when we made the first quests, the first quest line or the first events, you noticed that there was even less variety in it, and we're working on increasing them over time more and more. Like the new quest types we have now are something like you can invest resources instantly to get to the next quest and stuff like this will come more and more in the next events. Yeah. So we know there's not too much variety yet. And also we had some other problems to fix with the quest actually, as you remember, like collect so and so many coins. So everyone had to collect like 1,000 coins, and for beginning players it was a lot, and for everyone else it was way too cheap. Stuff like this. We are fixing those problems one by one, and adding variety to it is also one of the things we are looking to. Yeah. Will it ever be possible to have an expansion as a prize? So many nice buildings and not enough space.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would agree, but it's unfortunately not possible. Don't
Yeah.
expect this to happen. The thing is, the map has a certain size, so we
Mm-hmm.
can only have so and so many map expansions, and
Yeah.
or we would have to increase the map size.
Yeah.
But this is technically, like, it's not only difficult to do that, it's also hard for some low-end devices
Yeah,
to display that.
exactly. Already some of our players have problems because the amount of assets they have in their map are so many, and we don't want to have a game where some people can't play it
Yeah.
because of the performance. That would
So,
be
so in
sad.
short, the first thing we would have to do to introduce this as a reward would be to slow down the game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we would have to increase the map, which would slow down the game, and then some people would win some expansions, and it would also be complicated because at one point you cannot win expansions anymore. It would have to be limited, and then at the end you would be at the same position than you are now. Someone in the forums has asked, isn't it possible to put a counter which guarantees to win the daily prize after X tries?
Yeah.
This is, I would say, a common suggestion. We have a quite simple system now in place. Now we just say you will win this prize with a probability of 20%, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear, and you have to click, and if you win, with the first click it was lucky draw, and if you don't win with 6 or 7 clicks, it is possible, and no one's cheating you, and so on. We like the simplicity of this solution.
Will we have a friend list one day?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I would like to have this. Yeah, for me, I always see the fellowships could be more of a place where people of the same goals or the same point in the game, like with the same progress, could gather, while the friends could be people that you just know from the real world, right? Your friends are playing the game maybe as well, or people that you just happen to trade with a lot because they are your neighbors or whatever. So friend lists are always a bit different from fellowships. No? So I see how it would make sense to have friend lists in the game. Still, it's a feature. And of course, we would do a bit more than just adding a list where everyone is shown on. So it's a big thing. And
a yet to be developed feature, I would say.
Can you make it so I can move buildings the way we can move buildings in Forge of Empires? So for those who do not know how it works there, you can pick one building up and then go to another building. So when you move, you go to the move mode and then you click on a building, then it's on your cursor as in Elvenar. Then you go to another building and you click again, and then the building on the cursor exchanges directly with the building on the ground. So you have like one spot where you can store one building, which is your cursor. And you don't have this in Elvenar, where you always need to find a place where you can put a building before the place where the building was is really free. We are thinking about this sometimes, and we are looking into how it is technically doable, because our code is a bit different than the one of Forge. Yeah, obviously, they're different games. We cannot say for sure if it will happen or not.
Why was it not considered that small players can't produce magical goods?
Well, actually, in a way, it was considered. We do demand those magical goods from early players as well, but in very small amounts. And so our idea was these are amounts small enough that they can just trade these goods. But the reception we had so far is that many players struggle to do these trades. We will keep an eye on this. And if it does not work out as we imagined it and players are stuck with these quests, then of course we will not repeat this again. If you compare to the winter event, we have to say that in the winter event, we found out that afterwards, it was one of our first events after all, that some buildings were a bit overpowered, which resulted in that the players were less excited about new buildings in the next events. And also, like, they won new buildings, but they didn't want to place it anymore because everything was already full and they had enough culture. And this is not what we want. What we actually do want is that we spread that we have more different rewards to select from. In the first events, all you could win was basically more culture and more population. And if you had enough culture and population, which you had quite soon after participating in such an event, it became less interesting to win buildings. So what we are doing now is we introduce buildings that produce coins or supplies or orcs or troops. In the future, also mana and other resources that might be added to that list. In addition to still having buildings that give culture and population and so on. So players can win many different buildings. You can win many different buildings, and every building has a different effect for you, and you have more use for the prizes. But yeah, the winter event buildings were particularly strong. And in the subsequent events, we lowered the values a bit. But there are no plans to lower the values further or something like this.
No. Is there a reward system in your pockets for those players that play every day in Elvenar?
We have some concepts for that in mind, no, for sure. Obviously, nothing yet to present. But yeah, we do think about how we can reward players for staying with us every day, playing repeatedly, and so on. We are thinking about this, but we cannot show something today.
It would be nice when you're helping fellowship if screen return to the fellowship page of the player you helped.
One of the problems we have with gameplay that is a bit repetitive and not too fun to do so often. So we are also thinking in broader terms about this topic. Of course, we can improve small things like if I open this list again, I should be on the same page as I've been before, so I can follow up and do the next step immediately. But we are also thinking in broader terms about it, how we can generally improve it. There's no use in having really very, very strong buildings, and after you have gotten two, you don't need any more of them. But there's one way how very strong buildings can still be a good reward if you say you have this strong building, but it's only there for a certain amount of time. So or put it the other way around, we can reward players with a very big benefit without hurting the system too much. When we say, okay, you have this benefit, but it's a bit like the spells, that it only is there for a limited amount of time. For the time you need it, you know?
Yeah.
For instance, you might now want to have a few fights for the next tournament, for instance. Then we have a building for you now in this event that lets you fight, for instance, with the mages, or that they have more strength, or all units have more health and stuff. These are the buildings we introduce now, that will help you for a certain amount of time, that you can play quite a lot of Elvenar very successfully. And then the buildings are also gone again, and you get the space back that they took. No? So these buildings are rather small. You can build a lot of them next to each other, and you have a really powerful effect from them. And then use it as long as they last. Use them, and then you can get rid of them anyway, and have space for other buildings then again.
And the timer starts when you place the building, not when it's in your inventory. That would be super unfair if you just want it and don't want to place it
You decide
yet.
when to use
So
them.
exactly. Can you talk a bit about the instance, please? Will we be able to reduce the production time of a guest race production with them?
We are introducing kind of like items to the game. But in our game, we have a fantasy city builder.
And only beta players see this yet. So
in our game, we don't call them items. That's boring. So we say these are spells. You have heard about spells before because there are spells already in the game, but these spells are just one type of spells. And now we have created a new type of spells. And to not confuse you too much, the spells you're producing in the academy, we will from now on call enchantments, because they enchant your buildings for a limited time. And the new items we invent, the new spell type, we call instance. So Bruno, as a beta player, has already used some of them. So here's how it works. They are stored in your spells inventory, like next to the enchantments, and you can do lots of stuff with it. There are some instances that refill your coin storage or your supply storage, and there are also ones that reduce time. And you can reduce time almost everywhere in the game. I think even everywhere in the game. So you can reduce the time an upgrade of a building takes. You can reduce production times, and to answer his question, yeah, you can reduce production times of guest race productions as well. You can also reduce scouting times. You can reduce the waiting times between tournament rounds. This spell just says, I will refill, let's say, 10% of your storage. So if your storage can hold 1 million coins, you will get 100,000 coins with this spell. And if you upgrade your main hall and the storage is now 1.2 million, then the same item will not refill 100,000 coins, but then 120,000 coins. So your items also improve when you upgrade your main hall. And there are many different versions of these spells. So there are spells that reduce 5 minutes, and there are spells that reduce 2 hours, and so on.
I spend a lot of time looking for the builder's hut of others. Could you make it so that if you press B, you go to there, or M for the main hall, or C for random or best available culture building?
Yeah, so the shortcuts we have in our own city are not available in the other cities. That's a good idea, right? We could, of course, as we did in our own game, in our own city, add shortcuts in other city. But most players don't know about the shortcuts.
Oh, that's also right.
And most players will then also not use your solution. And that is why we will first maybe solve the core of the problem, as Rike stated. First mission is that you do not have to search for things like this. If it ever happens, it will be in an unexpected way. Yeah, as you know, we have a mobile version, and if you are happy enough to live in Great Britain,
you can play it.
You can play it already. And the obvious question is then, okay, and when, just in case I don't want to move now to Great Britain, how long do I have to wait until I can play the mobile version? We can't tell yet.
I'm afraid there is no date yet, but
no official date yet to announce.
And we really
soon.
Stuff, and thank you for asking all those questions.
Yeah, and stay tuned. Watch the next Elvenar episode.
Yes. Until next time,
Until next time,
keep on playing.